how they lifted those stones, how they brought them up to that level. I think we're looking, again, at a lost technology.
Throughout history, there have been mysterious structures where explaining how massive stones were moved seems impossible. From the strange underwater rock formation resembling an abandoned city in Japan to the huge coffin-shaped boxes in Egypt, these strange formations continue to baffle experts. What were they for and who built them? First, let's start with Ain Dara Temple, a mysterious structure that amazes even scientists. Located in Syria, this ancient temple holds a mystery that has puzzled people for thousands of years, and it all starts with the giant footprints at the entrance. We're not talking about regular-sized footprints. These are enormous, and no one completely agrees on how they were formed. For over 3,300 years, these footprints have been a part of the temple, and their origins are debated. Some experts argue that those who built the temple also carved the footprints. The reason is to show the gods' entrance into the temple and their procession toward the inner sanctuary. The inner sanctuary was the place to go to pray to a specific god. It was a grand statement that the gods were here. Another idea is floating around the temple. There's a carving of Ishtar, the goddess of fertility, in the temple. Some people think the temple was built for her and that the footprints are hers as she stepped into the sanctuary, but others aren't so sure. They say the Assyrians, who came much later, may have added her image, so maybe these footprints aren't hers. On top of all that, there are local legends that tell a different story altogether. Some say a giant god with clawed feet left the marks, while others believe the temple builders themselves were giants. There are even stories claiming these giants lived in the area back then, which makes these footprints even more real to believers. Despite all this ancient history, the temple faced a new threat recently. Conflicts in 2018 severely damaged the area, but somehow these mysterious footprints survived. It's as if they had to stay to keep us wondering. As we marvel at these ancient steps, something else awaits us on the South American continent called Puma Punku. What would you think if I said that thousands of years ago, there was a temple built with stones so heavy we couldn't carry them today? That's Puma Punku, a mysterious place high in the Andes Mountains. This strangely named place is part of an ancient temple in Bolivia and holds more mystery than your average history book tells you. What makes this place fascinating isn't just its history, but the mystery of how it was built. These are the mysterious ruins of Puma Punku. We're talking about 3,900 meters above sea level, where even breathing isn't easy. Yet, about 1,400 years ago, people somehow managed to move stones weighing up to 131 tons. Yes, you heard that right. Here's where things get even weirder. There are no trees there, so they couldn't use wooden rollers to move these massive rocks like people in other parts of the world. So what was their trick? Maybe they had a forgotten technique, or who knows, maybe something even stranger. These ancient builders weren't just piling stones on top of each other. The blocks at Puma Punku are carved with perfect precision. Everything is so precise, everything is so perfect, you wonder how it's even possible. We're talking such clean cuts and such precise shapes that it's as if the stones were cut with lasers. The sheer size of these blocks is unbelievable. Oh, did we mention that some of the stones are magnetic? It makes you wonder what kind of knowledge they had back then. Before we start imagining time-traveling architects or ancient alien helpers, let's move on to another mind-boggling marvel known as Masuda no Inafune in Japan. In a small village in Japan, there are mysterious stone structures that make you wonder if the past was as simple as we think. The roots of the village of Asa go back to ancient times, around 250 AD. Among 20 strange stone structures, one stands out more than the others. Its name is Masuda no Inafune, or as some call it, the rock ship. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It's not a small piece of rock either. It's 11 meters long, 8 meters wide, and about 5 meters high, and weighs 800 tons. Even trying to figure out how the people of that time moved it is a job in itself. Now, no one knows what these structures are for. Some people guess that Buddhists may have carved them since the area is full of temples and shrines. Sounds plausible, but there's a catch. This rock ship doesn't resemble conventional Buddhist architecture at all. It actually predates Buddhism in Japan, so it can't have anything to do with Buddhist temples, right? So what's the deal with this giant stone standing in a village that's been around for over 1,000 years? Was it part of a forgotten religious ritual, or was it designed for a different purpose altogether? Your guess is as good as anyone's, but whatever the answer, the mystery of Asuka stands as solid as these massive stones used in the construction of the city of Nanmadol. I was born here, but I'm always amazed every time I come here. Sometimes history presents us with a puzzle that makes us rethink what's possible. Nanmadol is one of those puzzles. Sitting quietly in a lagoon near the shores of Pohnpei, it's an ancient city, long abandoned. It's a maze of about 100 artificial islets spread over 60 hectares. It's big enough to comfortably house over 1,000 people. But the thing is, it was built using only massive stone columns, and no mortar was used. Historians are scratching their heads about this. They believe Nanmadol was a center for the Saudalur chiefs, who used it to keep an eye on their rivals. Instead of letting people stay in their own areas, the chiefs forced them to live in the city where they could control them more easily. A smart move, if you think about it. But how they built it is a whole other question. After a few tries, they couldn't show how it was done. Some stories say giant birds carried the basalt columns. Imagine giant birds swooping in to help with construction. The truth is, it still holds some of its mystery. What is clear is that creating something this big must have taken a serious effort in terms of both resources and people. Some people have even gone so far as to claim that Nanmadol could be part of the lost continents of Lemuria or Mu. Sounds crazy, but when you see the size of those stones, it's hard to keep your imagination from running wild. Speaking of imagination, Nanmadol isn't the only place pushing boundaries. As we explore the Peruvian landscape, there are places where history doesn't quite add up. Sacsayhuaman, or Sacsayhuaman, is a perfect example. Located on the outskirts of Cusco, Sacsayhuaman was once part of the Inca capital, but not much of the original complex remains today. Most of the complex is in ruins, but the walls still standing are impressive enough to make anyone stop and stare. The Inca walls are built with massive boulders. Each one is oddly shaped, yet they fit together perfectly like pieces of a giant jigsaw puzzle. The stones are placed so tightly that a needle can't pass between them, and even today they fit so well that they can only hold moss. Some of the walls rise up to 6 meters, and the longest one is 400 meters. It's hard to believe how the Incas could fit these giant rocks so tightly without using mortar. When the Spaniards arrived in Cusco, they were so amazed by the walls that they thought only supernatural forces could have built them. Eager to tear them down, they tried to demolish the walls, but most of the rocks were too heavy for them. So how exactly did the Incas do it? Historians and scientists still have no idea. The way they shaped and moved these massive stones remains a secret. Even more impressive is that they managed to build these walls without the help of modern tools or machines. It makes you wonder if the Incas were ahead of their time. Just as Sacsayhuaman holds its secrets tightly, there are many more clues about the Inca world hidden all over Peru, like the moray terraces. Farming is a simple everyday task that most of us take for granted, but it seems the Incas took things to the next level with this incredible structure. Located about 50 kilometers northwest of Cusco, the moray terraces stand as one of the most mysterious Inca ruins. The terraces are arranged in a circular pattern, like a giant amphitheater, with each level descending into a deep depression. The largest terraces are in the center and descend to the bottom with a massive 150-meter drop. Even more mind-boggling is how the base of this structure is designed. It's so well drained that no matter how much it rains, the water can't accumulate there. The rain blends into the soil. But the really cool part is the temperature difference at the top of the terraces. The air is much colder than in the lower parts. In fact, the temperature difference can be up to 15 degrees Celsius. This temperature variation creates microclimates, or small controlled weather zones, within the terraces. Limestone is weather-resistant, so it penetrates the limestone, making it like nature's version of a greenhouse. Some experts believe the Incas used these temperature variations to experiment with crops and see how they would grow under different conditions. Although no one knows for sure, it is believed that the moray terraces were used for agriculture. Soil samples taken from the area even show that the Incas brought soil from other regions to help their crops thrive in different climates. Imagine having a bunch of mini-climates for agriculture thanks to a few clever terraces. While the moray terraces leave us in awe of ancient architectural genius, there are other mysterious finds that defy easy explanation, like the black boxes of the Serapeum of Saqqara. We've all heard stories about hidden treasures, but what do you think about something that seems a little out of this world? Near the pyramids of Giza, archaeologists came across something so strange that it's unlike anything you'd expect from ancient Egypt. In a hillside cave in Saqqara, right next to the Pyramid of Djoser, 24 coffin-shaped black boxes were discovered. These aren't ordinary boxes. They're not made of wood or any easily workable material. These are made of solid Aswan granite. Each box weighs over 100 tons, and even more mind-boggling is how the boxes are made. They're airtight, so it's clear they served an important purpose. But what? And why exactly 24? What really gets experts talking is how these boxes were made. Just the lids alone weigh about 30 tons each, and the cut is so precise it looks like the work of a machine. In fact, it's so flawless that some experts believe they may not have been made by the Egyptians. Instead, they think these were left behind by another civilization, and the Egyptians found them and claimed them as their own. There are a few hieroglyphs on the boxes, but they're so poorly done that they're considered more like scribbles than anything meaningful. So no one really knows who made them or why. But one thing's for sure, it adds another unanswered question to the many about ancient Egypt. A few coffin-shaped boxes might sound eerie, but there are 11 rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. If you think churches are just ordinary buildings, think again. Lalibela, in Ethiopia, holds a mystery that will leave you in awe. Lalibela is home to 11 ancient churches, each carved from a single giant rock. Located on a plateau at 2,400 meters in Ethiopia, these churches are unlike anything else in the world. Forget bricks, mortar, or wood. The builders worked only with stone to carve out these monolithic structures. Even more surprising is that these churches weren't just built on the ground. They also go 12 to 15 meters underground. There's no shortage of theories about how these churches came to be. The most widely accepted story is that King Lalibela ordered the construction of these places of worship in the 12th century. Even the local museum in the area supports this idea, but the only evidence it offers is an ancient farming tool that seems more suited to tilling the soil than cutting stone. It doesn't seem to fit such an incredible feat. But the people who come here to worship believe the story doesn't end there. They say King Lalibela didn't do this alone. Some claim he had people who came to help and finished all 11 churches in just one night. It's a story as bold as the carvings themselves, but when you stand there with the cool stone beneath your feet and the echoes of prayer all around you, it's hard not to feel that maybe, just maybe, there's some truth to it. The churches are still active today. People gather there every day to worship, pray, and celebrate religious festivals. The area has become a place where people come together, reinforcing the spiritual bond and connection that has existed for centuries. Before we continue with the rest of the video, a recent discovery that has been making waves around the world. The image we're looking at shows a mysterious structure that appears to be ancient. Stone walls with precise carvings and remarkable patterns lead down to a passage that ends at a small door. The steps and carvings show a level of skill that is perhaps more advanced than what we usually associate with ancient civilizations. This mysterious building has astonished even scientists. The strangest part is that no one knows where this place is or if it even really exists. Some say it could be a real lost ancient site, while others think it could just be a digital creation or a model of a forgotten place. No one knows what it was used for either. Was it a place for rituals, a clever way to store water, or something else entirely? Do you think this is a hidden piece of history or a great mystery we'll never solve? Don't forget to share your thoughts with us in the comments section.